All right, pre-show cheers. Cheers to you.
And cheers to you.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. On today's episode, how are the Utah Jazz favoring in the FIBA World Cup?
University of Utah football has game day. Let's talk about it.
And let's go ahead and check in on Major League Baseball. Who's hot, who's not, and what records have been broken. All that and more. My name is Darren. That is AJ, and this is the DNA Sports Recap.
Roll the intro.
But first, before we get into content, we'd like to say a special thank you to our subscribers by giving away $500. 5 of our subscribers are each going to get $100. That's going to be from us as a way of saying thank you to our subscribers for tuning in and watching our videos. So once this channel is monetized, we're going to go ahead and give that away. So make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for more. How's it going, AJ?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. How about you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. No point in burying the lead. Let's go ahead and jump right into the most anticipated topic that we're going to talk about today, which is it is game day for the University of Utah.
Dude, I've been waiting all week.
Waiting
all week. I'm super excited, and it can't get here. One more sleep, man. University of Utah football is finally back.
That's right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, the University of Utah is playing the Florida Gators, which is a rematch from the season opener last year.
Yep.
As you saw last week how we broke down the defense and how we felt that the Utes defense is going to favor well against this Gators offensive line and the incoming quarterback and everything and how well we think they're going to do there. Let's talk about the first piece about that. The news actually just came out from, I believe ESPN is the first one to report it.
Yep. ESPN and Bleacher Report pretty much simultaneously. The report is sources say that Bryson Barnes is going to be playing quarterback for the University of Utah tomorrow.
Okay, great. So
not confirmed by the team. Just for the record, not confirmed by the team. Obviously, there's some credibility for anybody that's going to call themselves a source. You know what I mean? And for ESPN and Bleacher Report to first report it, like for them both to report it, there's got to be something behind it. But I just don't feel confident that there's still not a chance that Cam Rising plays tomorrow.
Let's talk about that. So Bryson Barnes is going to be your starting quarterback for the University of Utah, according to Bleacher Report and ESPN. What percentage would you put on that being the case that he's the starter?
I mean, I think it's probably pretty high. We've been concerned that Cam's not going to be able to go for a couple of weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a chance. I'm going to say probably 80%, like if not higher. It's there's a good chance. So it definitely changes the game plan. I don't think you're going to see a Bryson Barnes only game in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty sure they're going to run some packages with Nate Johnson. And I personally think that you're going to see Nate Johnson throw the football. I think they're going to bring him in. And he's definitely going to be in some packages where the defense is going to be reading, obviously, Wildcat run only, and you're going to see him rear back and throw the football down the field. So I think it's going to change everything. They're going to do everything they can to gain any advantage over this Florida Gators defense.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about that. So as far as the Florida Gators defense, do you know how many? I mean, they're pretty new on that, right? On that end, they didn't have as many players returning as Utah did on the defensive line.
No, I mean, this Gators team, they were ranked 95th in defense last year for run per carry basis, right? So they really struggled to run the football, or they really struggled to stop the football.
Right.
Yeah. They've got a few guys back, and they hit the transfer portal pretty good over the summer. So they've got some players that are talented, but don't have a ton of experience playing within this actual scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I think this could be a very long day because, I mean, it's not like the Utes just have one really good running back. They've got a whole stable.
Right.
They've got talent 4 or 5 deep. And I think if you get one guy even remotely tired and the Utes are just going to keep reloading again, 4 or 5 players deep that are really talented running backs. I think the offensive line for the Utes is going to be an advantage over a Florida defense that, again, struggled to stop the run last year.
Yeah. Speaking of which, with all the injuries throughout and all the unknowns on who's going to be starting for the O-line, Brandon Olson, who's Locked On Gators podcast,
Mhm.
did state on his show, I believe, not today, but yesterday. So that would have been Tuesday for everybody listening. If you guys want to go back and check out that episode, he did state the biggest problem that the Gators have right now on defense is going to be their pass protection.
They hit the transfer portal hard over the summer. They did their best. They brought in some big talent. I mean, they've got like one of their defensive linemen that's like 495 pounds. Have you seen any of the videos on that guy?
No.
Dude, he's massive.
Yeah.
He's literally like almost a 500-pound dude. He's just enormous. And I mean, he's on the defensive line. His first year was last year. He's going to be playing. But Utah had 5.5 yards per carry since 2021. That's the best in college football.
Wow.
They're going to cram the football down your throat using a running back. And, Florida is a very talented team. Are they going to be able to get a couple of stops here and there? Absolutely. That's going to happen. But to think that they can stop it over 4 quarters at 4,000 feet, you can say all you want. I mean, their coach was just in the media saying that they've got their game plan. They're not adjusting for altitude, mostly because altitude, like scientifically proven, takes about 10 days to adjust to.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be able to adjust to the altitude in time. If they think that over 4 quarters, they're going to be able to continue to shut down this Utah running attack that is just going to just massacre you at the O-line, they're going to be tired. And once one of these guys get going, I mean, running the football is a rhythm game, man. Once you get going and you see a couple of holes, like it's going to be going right. and going, right? So I think it'll be definitely very interesting to watch. I mean, the Gators are 2-12 in their last 14 road games against ranked opponents, and they're not going into any standard ranked opponent venue here. This is Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loud stadium to play in, and with the loudness of the stadium, the altitude, and then a Utah defense that is going to be all over you from the word go. This is going to be a very, very fun football game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the only real concern I have when it comes to this is that the line, they always favor the home team by 3 points whenever there's a gimme game. So the fact that the line for the University of Utah right now is 4.5 earlier today. It may have changed at the time of this video, but that's probably due to the announcement of the fact that Cam's probably not playing. But there are a few things that I did want to point out that is going to be really good for the University of Utah as far as from the defensive perspective. There is that their current QB, Graham Mertz, was sacked 22% of his pressure situations. He was sacked 22% of the time. Anthony was sacked on 9%. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Graham Mertz doesn't have the ability to scramble nearly as well as Anthony Richardson can.
Oh, okay. I see exactly where you're going with that.
Yeah,
okay.
And so the sack percentages back that up because, yes, he's with Wisconsin last year.
Yeah.
But his inability to scramble and his inability to handle that type of pressure from the defense is going to be sorely, lacking, especially from a Utah defense that led the Pac-12 in sacks last year and tackles for loss.
And these guys really get after it, man. I mean, you can drop back to throw the ball, but if you don't got a target, you better tuck it and be ready to run.
Yeah.
Because tucking it and ready to run and keeping your eyes downfield is the only chance you have. And that was what Caleb Williams did in the USC games against Utah. Is he always kept his eyes downfield. He scrambles well to his left and to his right. And Utah, as much as you could say, struggled to contain the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Graham Mertz is not a Heisman Trophy candidate.
No.
Right. So if he can't keep his eyes downfield, if he gets lost and looking at coverages, and all the Utes do is disguise coverages all day long.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to drop 2 sometimes. They're going to go into man coverage. Like, you've got to make a decision quickly because you've got defensive ends on both sides of the ball that are running down your throat every single minute.
Yeah, Florida's two best players on their team is going to be the running backs. So I think both offenses are going to have a very similar type of play in this game where they're going to try to establish the run game. But what I'd really love to see is the Utah defense really pack the box, load in 8, and make Mertz beat them downfield.
Oh, that's exactly what they're going to do. In my opinion.
I think that's probably the best way for them to go about it. I do think that Utah does have the advantage on pass rushing Definitely as far as it goes in the trenches, I think Utah has the advantage all day long when it comes to depth. And again, the O-line, the O-line,
the UO line.
Yeah, exactly.
The University O-line.
the O-line and the D-line, I think, does have the advantage on, so both sides of the ball. I think Utah is good to go there. The only question I had on that is that, the experts, like I said, typically when you pick in a pick 'em game, they usually give 3 points to the home team. And all I hear local people on local radio talking about when it comes to the advantages that Utah has is the fact that it's a home game. Rice Eccles is loud, and the altitude. And like none of those things really instill confidence in me when those are your major talking points for how you think Utah's going to beat this team. And I could actually understand the whole atmosphere because it's really hard to shut out reads when you can't hear each other.
Right.
The type of defense they're going to have to run, and there's communication is going to be key. So I do see that a little bit, but honestly, man, it makes me a little bit more nervous knowing that Cam Rising's not going to be under center tomorrow. So that's my main concern. Is that do I still think Utah wins this game? I actually do. I have a key stat that I'll get to on that in a minute for why I think Utah wins this game. But I definitely think this makes it a much more closer game than I was expecting it to be.
I agree. Cam Rising is the glue that holds this Utah team together. Because with him, they averaged 46.7 points at home last season, right? So they had the ability to really put it on and continue to score the football. Without Cam Rising, you're going to be relying on guys like Jaquindon Jackson, Bryson Barnes. He's got some experience. I don't think they changed the play calling that much for Bryson Barnes while he's in the game. He does a lot of the things, that Cam Rising can do. Obviously, you don't have quite as much faith with him throwing the ball down the field. But the dude's got the ability to pick it up and run with it, and, you've got Nate Johnson who can come in and really push the ball up the field with his feet. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be different, obviously not having Cam out there, but I think the Utes stick to their game plan and they're going to keep hammering the ball down your throat on the ground and, make sure that you stay honest and throw the ball over top and, just take the lid off so you're not just packing the box and stopping the run game. Mm-hmm. And Bryson's got the ability to stay consistent enough for the Utes to be successful so that they can't just stuff the game and that'll keep it opened up for the running backs.
Yeah. It wasn't for the fact that Bryson's been with this team for several years now. What was your quote there? He's been with the team for
162 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's Mr. Reliable, man.
Exactly. There's a lot of national folks are saying the fact that not only is Utah not going to be with their starting quarterback, they're not going to be with their second string quarterback either, with Rose being out as well.
Right.
They do see Bryson Barnes as
third string quarterback.
Quarterback. Yeah. So, and I don't really see it that way. I kind of see the guy with this, I kind of see that backup being more of like a 1A, 1B type scenario there with Rose and Barnes. So I see that being a little different, but here's the key stat that I want to take away from last year that I think is going to change this year.
Okay.
The University of Utah defense missed 29 tackles last year
in the Florida game.
In the Florida game.
Absolutely.
Anthony Richardson as the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen against Cam Wirtz. They're not going to miss 70 tackles.
No.
Because I think actually Richards is a much more mobile quarterback than what Graham Wirtz is going to be able to do.
Yep.
And this defense is, like I said, more experienced, has a greater chemistry. They're not missing 29 tackles.
Well, and I totally agree, especially with, that humidity down there. You saw players on the field throwing up, mm-hmm. dealing with the humidity and dealing with the conditions that you can't really prepare for. This team's more experienced. They've got a lot of guys on the field that are ready to go out there. I guarantee that every one of these Utes players hears all the noise about how they can't beat this subgraded SEC team without their star quarterback. And I think you'll see the Utes come out there with a little bit of fire.
Yeah. Like I said, Matt, they lost by 3 with 29 missed tackles on an elite quarterback last year. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening.
First round draft pick quarterback.
First round. Yeah. Exactly. Are you taking the over or under on Wirtz throwing more than 20 passes?
Graham Wirtz throwing more than 20 passes. I take the over.
Really?
I think he's going to try to throw the ball just because they know that if they continue to run the ball, Utes is going to stuff it. The Utes they're going to be ready for it. I mean, the defense is talented enough as it is to plug that up. They've got, and the Gators have two really good running backs. Etienne Jr. is a really good running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got another guy beside him that's really, really good. So the Gators have a running game. As far as a passing game, if they don't even attempt to keep the Utes cornerbacks and the Utes defense in a whole honest, it's going to get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling that now. If they don't throw the ball more than 20 times, it's going to get out of hand. Because if you think you're going to run the game, just run the ball down the throat, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see them being successful unless he completes a lot of passes, and it means he's going to have to get more than 20 attempts up there. But I honestly don't see them. I don't see them being that successful on it. Honestly,
I don't see him being successful, but I see them attempting a ton of passes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's going to have some success in the air in order for Florida to come out with a win on this one. The line is set at 44, the combined score. What are you taking on that? Over, under?
Over all day.
Yeah,
I think the Utes score. Even with a backup quarterback, I think they still continue to score some points, and just push it just over that 44 mark.
Nice. Yeah, I'm picking the over too, but again, just like you said, just barely. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think around 45 to 50 points, I think is a good measure.
I see like a 35-21 type of game, maybe 35-28, which, I mean, I'm not doubting that the Florida can score points, right? They've got a lot of talent, but I think the Utes definitely score more. And I think the defense makes some key stops to keep them, under, and our offense keeps us and puts us over the over under. That's it, man. Go Utes.
All right. Once again, folks, it is game day. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Like we need to tell you that. Of course, you know that. It's going to be here at Rice-Eccles Stadium. It's going to be fantastic. Awesome game to watch. Looking forward to it. And let us know in the comments down below. If you're catching this before the game, let us know what you think. Are we off on that? Are you guys taking the over-under on the 44? Do you think who's going to come out with a better passing game and who's going to come out with more rushing yards, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, let's kind of go with there. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the University of Utah. Sorry.
How about we move on to the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, let's talk Utah Jazz. I like that. I like that idea better. All right, so what we're going to talk about on this segment, again, we're in the dog days of the offseason for the NBA. So really all we have really to talk about is how the Jazz are faring in the World Cup, FIBA World Cup, as we established a couple of videos ago. I now learned
a couple cuts ago. Yeah, let's talk about players on the teams. Kind of make it a quick little segment for it. So Lauri Markkanen, he's playing for Finland this year.
Mm-hmm.
They were obviously just eliminated. I think it was yesterday in a 101-75 loss to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They'd lost their first two games to Australia and Japan in group play, so they were pretty much out of it anyway. So he kind of saw limited minutes in his last game, but he did have 12 points, grabbed a couple of rebounds. He's played really well for Finland. Obviously last year in this same type of tournament, he really kind of came out. And it made Jazz players really, really excited to see him in the upcoming season, which obviously last year he won Most Improved Player.
Yeah, that was the Euro basket tournament, right? So,
same type of tournament. Though,
same type of tournament. And he balled out for sure, and actually did quite well. He was the only Finnish player, in the NBA. So he's the only NBA player on the Finnish team. He averaged 19.3 points per game, 7.3 boards per game. He did have some, wasn't on at his normal level offensively as far as the efficiency goes.
Really hard when you don't have as talented of players around you.
Yeah, that does hurt. And also he's just rapid. He literally went from military service to play for the national team, and then now that that's over, he's now got to get ready to head over here to
come back home for a Jazz camp.
So I'm not really holding it against him, man. I don't think I would have liked to seen the Finnish team go further, absolutely. Am I surprised they got knocked out in this round? No, they didn't actually have. I think they had a rough track. The two teams that they played against, weren't in the best bracket for the way they're taught.
Yeah, especially for their talent level. To only have one NBA player. When you look at Australia, who's got, just talent up and down the roster. With George, you got Joe Ingles and Dante Exum and I mean, Matthew Dellavedova. It goes on and on.
Yeah.
Patty Sim. What's his name?
Patty Mills.
Patty Mills. I don't know why I struggled with his name, but
well, he's kind of an irrelevant NBA player now. So
yeah, but I mean, he's still an NBA player, unlike poor Finland. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the de facto hosts. Let's talk about the Philippines and Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah,
obviously they were also eliminated as well. Again, he played well for his team. Clarkson, again, his points, he averaged 24 points per game, 6.7 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. So really was kind of the go-to scorer on that team.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan is your weapon. I think he's your offensive weapon on any team he plays in. I think that doesn't matter if you're in the NBA or you're playing in the FIBA Cup or the Olympics.
Right.
Jordan Clarkson's a scorer. So, I mean, his job is to go there and score points. The Philippines aren't loaded with talent. You know, they're lost, 90-83. They lost to Italy to kind of end it all. Mm-hmm. And, there's actually another Jazz player on that team. We'll talk about it in a second. But, Jordan's a stud. He just kind of, they kind of ran out of gas there in the Philippines. So,
yeah. And I'm just glad that Jordan Clarkson got out of that tournament healthy.
Yep.
That was my biggest concern. I don't know why, but for some reason, just signing that extension, I was worried that he was going to get hurt. So I'm glad that he came out of that and he's healthy. So that's a win, man. He balled out, showed his value for the team, and glad that he's going to be returning to Utah healthy. Let's go ahead and talk about Italy. Let's go ahead and talk about Simone Bentecchio.
Simone's been playing really well for Italy, and I mean Italy's making a pretty good run. They made it into the group of 16, so he's got some more basketball to play still. He's obviously on the tail end of this Jazz bench, but I mean dude's a really smooth shooter, man.
Yeah.
I've been super impressed with his athleticism, throughout this tournament. He's been able to really contribute, to this Italy team. He had 18.6 rebounds, an assist in that win over the Philippines. So he's playing really well. I think this is a really good opportunity for the Jazz coaching staff to kind of see him in an extended play and, hopefully get him a chance on that roster somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, he's on this one, he's averaging 16.7 points per game, averaging 4.7 rebounds. He's definitely been kind of their go-to guy on offense, like you said, with his smooth shooting.
Yeah.
Definitely something that I look for. I actually caught some of his highlights, and I did not, I saw a different player out there than I saw.
Yeah. You haven't had an opportunity to see him play like that with the Jazz.
No. And they've also came out of a very tough group in Group A. So they finished second in that group. And I believe they're facing Serbia and Puerto Rico at their next round.
Those are some rough teams. So, Serbia is a very rough team to play against.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But those are two tough teams that I definitely don't want to go through. So good luck to to Italy and our good guy Simone Bentecchio as well.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and move over to let's talk a little bit about Kelly Olynyk up there in Canada.
I mean, they had some dominant wins on that Canada team. I mean, to beat France, France is kind of becoming a semi-powerhouse in the World Basketball Organization, right? Mm-hmm. And they beat Lebanon pretty handily. And then, they get onto their rounds after the group play. And I mean, Olynyk had 16 points and 4 rebounds in that win over Latvia. He's played really good basketball. I watched some of the highlights of, even just the Canada team, and you're seeing a lot of Kelly Olynyk, right?
Right.
So, it just kind of shows that Kelly Olynyk's a really, really good playmaker, one that I wasn't really aware of. I think he does that stuff with the Jazz, but it was really on display playing with this Canada national team, who's really talented, by the way.
Yeah. Mike Conley got hurt. Clarkson was in foul trouble. And they didn't have the depth at the guard position they had. You saw Kelly Olynyk run the offense quite a bit last year.
You can definitely see that the Jazz roster trusts him to have the ball in his hand, make the right decision. And it's kind of refreshing to know that you kind of have that. He's been in the league for a long time, man. Mm-hmm. So I think we're gonna rely on Kelly for some of that veteran leadership in some of these schemes down the road with the Jazz and into this season.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Canadian team has been outstanding. They've been winning by an average margin of 37 points per game, in their group play, which is
pretty crazy.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Especially to be France, man.
Yeah. They're 22.
Yeah.
Olynyk had on average of 22 points per game, 8 rebounds, 5.7 assists. Clear-cut number 2 on the team. So he did a great job there. Canadians now in the second round, their first game is going to be against Brazil. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Brazil team without Raul Neto. Did you see he got hurt?
No.
Yeah, Raul Neto
got
hurt in one of the Brazil national games.
Oh, no. That's not good.
We hope we get better, Raul.
Yeah, exactly. Cleveland needs you.
Yes, they do.
He's on Cleveland still, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
no,
pretty sure.
No, he might not. Neto might have actually gone overseas to play.
Oh, he was last year though.
Yeah, he was on the Cavaliers last year, but I want to say that I saw him sign with an overseas team.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure.
Oh, good for you, Neto. Hopefully you're playing where you want to play, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the United States and Walker Kessler. Huh?
Last but not least.
That's right. I'm really excited, man. I saw a couple of the warm-up games and stuff like that. He wasn't really being used very, very much at all. Steve Kerr very much using him as a matchup type player. And they really wanted to go for speed and play small ball for a lot of the warm-up games. Didn't really like the way he was being used. However, you have seen his play, his minutes go up as the games progressed. But what do you think about our guy, Walker Kessler, and how he's performed so far?
I mean, again, played very limited minutes. I think the most important thing to take away from this is just getting experience being on the basketball court and practicing with some of the higher end, and upcoming players in the league. This is great experience for Walker Kessler. This is stuff that you can't teach him. And a lot of guys don't get an opportunity to play with this level of talent day in and day out for a couple of months. And especially in a stage, that's big, it's not the Olympics, but this is a big stage. The FIBA World Cup's a big deal. And the U.S. is expected to win this whole thing. So to be on this team and have that sort of expectation, I think that's going to help him a ton moving into this Jazz season where they're going to have similar expectations. The Jazz want to continue to win, and Walker Kessler is going to be a big part of that team. So I hope this helps prepare him to move forward into this upcoming NBA season. Yeah,
I definitely think Steve Kerr's kind of just playing him carefully. He did have a tournament high 12 minutes in the last game, finishing with 8 points and 3 blocks against Jordan, which was great to see. So we will start seeing an uptick in minutes as we go into the next round. The Americans are going to be facing Montenegro and Lithuania in the second round. Those teams are anchored by NBA big men. You've got Nikola Vucevic. I don't know why I have such a hard time with that guy's last name.
Yeah.
It gets me every time. But he's averaging 20 points and 7 assists. He's the star for Montenegro. And then you also have Jonas Valanciunas, who is 13.7 points per game and 10 rebounds per game, leading the Lithuanian team. So he's got his handful in the next couple of games for sure.
Kessler I think we'll definitely see some more Kessler in the upcoming games for the U.S.
Yeah.
So I think to kind of close this out, the most important thing for me in for all of these players is we are getting really valuable experience for these players. Some of these guys are obviously veterans and some of them are newer guys, but this is experience that we need on this Jazz team to accomplish what the Jazz are hoping to accomplish this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a great audition for Fontecchio, like I mentioned, and just like you said, the biggest takeaway for this whole thing is so far nobody's gotten hurt, knock on wood, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for Jordan Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen to get out of there without injuries, it's huge, dude. I mean, those are guys that we're going to rely on to count really big minutes. And then, I mean, at very least, we're building some relationships with players from other teams that could really help the Jazz in, potentially recruiting in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Kessler's going to have experience with all these guys from Team USA. Everyone, like, that's huge, dude. Some of these guys are going to be free agents in the future. And if you've got a relationship with guys, that's how you get players to come play for the Jazz. So this is going to be a good thing for the Utah Jazz for sure.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing Kessler's play in the next round to see if he can handle a little bit more physical, because that's where his game's going to be at. So to see where he goes with that. We already know how well he performed in the NBA last season. So love to see how that is going to expand more. You got anything else on the Utah Jazz or anything else on FIBA?
Nope, man. It's going to be good. I'm going to continue watching for sure.
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments down below, folks, what you guys think of how the Jazz are performing so far in the FIBA World Basketball Classic or World Basketball Cup, World Championship. I don't know what they're calling it over there, but whatever.
Leave a comment and let us know what it's actually called. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, let us know on that as well. Again, if you're just like us, you're hoping that we have a lot of our young players getting a lot of experience, coming back and using that for the team. Let us know if you think the same there, and let us know if we missed anything as well. Let us know in the comments down below as well. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into a little bit of Major League Baseball, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's first start with a little bit of positive. Let's go ahead and talk about the hottest teams in Major League Baseball right now.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and talk about, there's 3 teams that are all 8-2 in their last 10. There's one I really actually want to focus on, and you won't believe who this team is. So
I will not believe who it is. Who is it?
So let's go ahead and first talk about the other 2 teams. Let's pay homage to those guys. Let's start with, of course, my Dodgers. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They are running away with their division right now. And actually, it was something we called in our last week's episode. Mookie Betts is actually now the odds-on favorite, according to Vegas, to win the MVP over Ronald Acuna. So,
really,
yeah, we called that last week, and looks like that's gonna right now. Mookie Betts is the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. The next team would be the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays. They have actually crawled back into things, and they are 8-2 in their last 10 as well. They also have run 3 in a row, just like the Dodgers, and they're on a nice little streak. But the team that I actually want to talk about is also 8-2 in their last 10. And they have officially taken over their division, which includes the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros.
Oh, wow.
This team is the Seattle Mariners, are now in sole possession of first place.
The Mariners?
In the American League West.
Check that stat. Are you sure?
Yes, I am sure. I will double check just to be on the safe side.
I'm just kidding. I believe you.
That is fantastic news. They hosted the All-Star game this year, which was good to see. And they fell off, man. They were quite a few games behind in the wild card, and also in their best shot of getting into the playoffs was to try and get a wild card spot. And now they have sole possession of their division.
They're not even going to need a wild card spot at this point.
That is fantastic. That's awesome. So, Seattle Mariner fans, tip your cap. You guys are doing great. Good job out there. So, yeah, keep it up. That division is going to be so much fun to watch going down the stretch because you've got either Arizona, the Houston Astros, the Texas Rangers, or now the Seattle Mariners all trying to win the division. And the other 2 teams are going to get the top 2 wildcard spots. So all 3 of those teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Every game means something at this point for those guys, huh?
Going down that stretch, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, a lot of fun to watch on the American League side anyway. So again, they pulled. Now the Rangers are actually on a little bit of a slide. They are 3-7 in their last 10, so that's why they lost their stranglehold.
They still got time to turn it around, though.
Oh yeah. Like I said, right now they're half a game behind Houston, and half a game behind Seattle right now. So it's gonna be tight.
Plenty of time
to turn around. Yeah. Like I said,
just got to play some good baseball. I mean, if you can string together a couple of wins, things can get turned around real quick. So
pitching stays hot. Barring any injuries, Corey Seager playing like he can. Yeah, I like their chances. I like Texas' chances for sure. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to the Anaheim Angels. So the Anaheim Angels have definitely thrown in the towel here, which is surprising to see because we actually on a previous episode mentioned how we thought that they won the trade deadline because they're basically trying to show Shohei Ohtani that, hey, we're putting together a winner and we're pushing our chips in the middle. We're trading for, the best pitcher available at the deadline and all this different stuff with Lucas Giolito and all that. So,
and then what happened, Darren?
It all fell apart.
Well, there's big reason why it all fell apart, and why is it? Shohei got hurt. That's what happened, man. I mean, that's my opinion. As soon as Shohei got hurt, they were like, "We're done here. Let's cut our losses."
I like your enthusiasm for Shohei Ohtani and his ability to impact the team. But I'll remind you, this is like his 8th season, and they have yet to make the playoffs with Shohei Ohtani on their roster. So, as much as I would love to say that that's the reason why this happened, the team just did not perform well after they made those acquisitions.
Yeah,
all the acquisitions did not go well. Lucas Giolito did not play well. Hunter Renfroe, they put 6 players on the waivers.
Yeah. So the waiver, that's like inverse of the current standings, right? And then the worst team gets a chance to claim a player off of waivers, and then move through. So every player pretty much has the same thing. I was going to ask you, do you think any of these players that the Angels just put up are going to be claimed off waivers?
Yes, I believe that a lot of them can make a difference. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So Lucas Giolito was actually the starting pitcher, the star of their trade deadline acquisitions.
Right. He was the big name that they actually acquired to continue moving this team forward with Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly. So he was a starting pitcher. He was from the White Sox, and he just has not performed well. He's gotten lit up there in LA. Anaheim, LA of Anaheim.
Same thing.
It's not the same thing. They're not in LA. Don't let anybody tell you different. Anyway, Disneyland's not in LA. It's in Anaheim. So anyway, but yeah, so he's not had a good time in an Angels uniform. He was actually surprised to be on the waivers list, but honestly, the way he's performed, I'm not surprised at all. You also have relievers Matt Moore and Ronaldo Lopez. Ronaldo Lopez was also part of that trade deal with the White Sox to bring him over as well. Obviously, not performing well. Randall Grichuk was another one of their half trade deadline deals, also on the waiver list. Hunter Renfroe and Dominic Leone all on the offer block there for the Angels.
So wait, the way that I read this on the waivers claim is that since they're already past the August 1st deadline for trades, the Angels don't receive any compensation, even if another team claims them, because they're past the trade deadline already. So they pretty much go into the waiver block, and then as soon as another team picks them off waivers, the Angels, like, they don't get anything back for them. It's just a huge salary dump, pretty much for the Angels. They're just saying, this is it. We're not going to pay them next year for sure. Yep. And as long as they're picked up by September 1st, every player is still eligible for the playoffs.
Right. So if all 6 players the Angels put down are all claimed off of waivers, that's $7 million in salary that they're going to get in relief in the final month of the season, which puts their payroll beneath the $233 million, which puts it below the competitive tax balance. Basically, this is them throwing the white towel. They actually are making moves now based off the fact that they don't think they're going to be able to re-sign Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
So interesting. What do you think about all of this?
I mean, I kind of hope Ohtani stays with the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he will, but I kind of hope he does. I think he'll go. I mean, he picked the Angels for a reason. For all the stuff that we've talked about in the previous episode. Make sure you check it out.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about why Ohtani, picked the Angels in the first place. He obviously had a ton of options.
Right.
I mean, I hope he stays there. I really like players that have loyalty to a team, that gives them an opportunity, and continues to pay, and especially helps them in a situation that is, maybe not wouldn't work for any other player,
Mm-hmm.
So I hope he stays. I don't think he does. I think he probably finds somewhere that, anyone's going to pay him the same amount of money. But
speaking of which, with him tearing his UCL, do you think this affects his free agent value?
Unfortunately, I do not. I think he's still Shohei Ohtani. He's still one of the most talented men playing any sport on the planet. This is a second Tommy John surgery, though, right?
Yeah, technically, he doesn't even have to go for Tommy John surgery yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't see a way that doesn't happen. There's, like I said, it's not a complete rip. It's a tear. It's a stress of that.
Okay.
He technically could just rehab it during the offseason and see if he can get it back. But honestly, I don't think there's a way you can avoid Tommy John surgery on this one. So basically, if he has Tommy John surgery now, by next season, he'll be available to basically just DH and just be a hitter for all of next season.
I mean, how fun would that be? Especially when the dude's a crazy hitter like he is.
Yes,
what I mean?
But it does change the narrative a little bit.
And it does change your value, but I think any team is still going to see the value in Ohtani in the future, right? If you can sign him to any contract, even if he's just DHing for you, knowing that he's on a rehab program and you're going to get back the star pitcher that he is in future years, I think you're still going to pay that man any kind of money you can. So
yeah, I do think that this does change the narrative a little bit. I don't think you're going to see a bidding war where it breaks $600 million. I think this is going to clearly. I do think before that there's potential for him to get $600 million in a contract for anywhere from 10 to 12 years. I don't think that happens now. I think this brings the spotlight back to him and his health. This is not the first time Shohei Ohtani's been hurt. He does get hurt. He has had several seasons where he wasn't able to pitch and hit in the same season. So I think this kind of shines a little bit more light on that and kind of reminds teams like, okay, we have Shohei Ohtani is an elite at both positions, and we may get 3 or 4 years of him being elite at both positions. But this is not going to be something he's going to be doing forever. So I do think this brings it kind of back to quote unquote down to earth, which which I still think he's going to be the highest paid baseball player of all time. I think he's going to be the highest paid professional athlete in North American sports. I still think he's going to be around getting paid around $500 million, $550 million on a contract.
Largest contract record, yeah.
But I do see this kind of does put that back in the people's memory that, this guy isn't, inhuman.
Yeah, I mean, he is human.
Speaking of which, that also brings up to my other point is that also Mike Trout went back onto the IL as well with a wrist injury, which kind of that's my catalyst that snowball all this. They announced him going back on IL, then all of a sudden Shohei Ohtani goes out with an injury.
I mean, it just tells the Angels like, okay, we've got our two studs. They're both kind of, they're both hurting. It's time to maybe take a step back. We'll see if we can get out of, some of this payroll and just, start looking forward to next year at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I still think to wrap up the Shohei Ohtani thing, I actually do think that the strongest team, I think the most likely he is going to be back with the Angels next year. I honestly feel like that he's going to put the position he's in with them over a lot of other considerations. He has said, a lot of people close to him has said winning is the most important thing, because by now he actually wanted to have a World Series win underneath his belt, and he hasn't had one yet. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the key driver for him to seek something else. I'd say if it's not the Angels, I think he went in San Francisco with the Giants.
Close. He's going to stay close to home in California, huh?
I think so. I think he's going to stay on the West Coast in California. I don't think he signs with the Dodgers, because I think the Giants have gone in big time to try and land free agents. They try to land Aaron Judge or Arson Judge. For all my baseball fans out there, you know exactly what that one is. Someone tweeted out that the Giants signed Arson Judge to a contract, and was
it an April Fool's prank?
No, it was just a guy who was too excited to get the news out and misspelled Aaron Judge and spelled Arson Judge, and then literally like an hour later, it was announced that he was signed back with the Yankees. But they swung for Aaron Judge, missed. They signed Carlos Correa, then backed out. So they're going to go hard after Shohei Ohtani, and I think they're going to give every penny we're going to give Aaron Judge, and then more to try and get Shohei Ohtani out of an Angels uniform. I think the Dodgers are going to make a run for it. They're going to make him a fair offer. Definitely make him the highest paid player in baseball, but I don't think he ends up with LA with the real LA team. Yes, I said it. But I think he's more likely going to stay with the Angels or potentially go with the Giants. That's my guess.
Only time will tell, my friend.
That's right. Famous statement. Did you ever hear about the Billy Beane famous statement about the pitchers?
No.
There's only two type of pitchers out there.
Good ones and bad ones?
No, those who have had Tommy John surgery and those who are going to have Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
There's only two types of pitchers out there. Moving on from pitchers, let's go ahead and wrap it up with a little bit more information. So Ronald Acuna Jr. is set to make baseball history. He is 1 home run shy of breaking 30 home runs for the season, and he will be the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 30 home runs and have 60 stolen bases in the same season.
Wow, 60 stolen bases?
Yep, he's at 60 and 29 home runs, I believe, at the time of recording, in case their game just went final, and they already have done that, but it'll happen at any point here. So congratulations to Ronald Acuna Jr. I doubt he's going to go the rest of the year without hitting another home run.
Do you think the change in the base size?
Oh, absolutely.
To do with it?
Oh, 100%.
Previous video, make sure you check that one out.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That was actually some of our hottest content, was all the new rules on baseball.
Absolutely. The new rules are huge, man.
Yeah, I do think the fact that the bases are larger and they are only allowed to pick off a certain amount of times before they have to throw home. Let you know that they throw over twice, then they have to either try and pick you off or you get the base. So you can take off. So I definitely think that helps him, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it helps baseball. Some people think, it's a tainted record because of that, but honestly, I think it's very cool that we have the opportunity to see that.
Yeah, no, we talked about this in extent in the previous videos that I'm telling you to check out.
Absolutely.
But the pace of a baseball game changing and going down is a great thing for the game of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been needed. These games were too long. people want to go and see the action. I mean, going to a baseball game and seeing somebody steal a base is like the best thing ever, right? I mean, it's a fan favorite. Even if you're not cheering for that team, seeing a stolen base is always awesome.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a little chess match, little back and forth, the whole, the whole showdown, the whole, what's it called in the Old West where they have the shootout there, high noon.
I think they call it a shootout.
The duel. Yeah, the shootout, the duel, the shootout, whatever. Anyway, whatever that is, where they basically have
that one thing with the guns.
Yeah, where they both stare at each other and who's going to go first? Are you going to throw at me? Are you going to throw it home? Or are you going to take off? I love it. It's great. Let's go ahead and congratulations to that. The Braves are on a tear. They had the largest run differential. It's not even close. They're running away with their division. Still the best record in baseball. So good for them and good for Ronald Acuna Jr. Looking forward to that. To see how that team wraps up. Let's go ahead and finish things off here with a little bit of a fun story. Now, any of my MLB The Show players out there, which is a video game that you can play on actually a cross-platform. It's on Xbox and Switch. Used to be PlayStation exclusive. You get to have all these really fun bats, right? And one of the favorite bats to use is the one that is painted to look like a pencil, where the top is an eraser and it tapers down to where the handle of the bat is where the pencil lead is sharpened down. And we actually got to see that in an MLB game.
Real life
pencil bat. Why don't you go ahead and break it down for the folks?
Yeah, I mean, so the Phillies infielder, Bryson Stott, he busted out the old pencil bat, which was really, really cool to see in real life.
Yeah.
The bat was only allowed because of the festivities surrounding the Little League World Series. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, my opinion is like I think they should let some of this stuff go a little bit more, man. I think it adds something more to baseball.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever played MLB The Show or if you ever watched any games or players on YouTube who play MLB The Show. Getting to see different types of bats and getting to see different types of cleats and stuff like that makes it a lot funner to kind of see that. Allow players to kind of show a little bit more of their personalities there. I understand why they do it. They don't want anybody getting, it is a distraction on the field to see that. I would argue that being able to wear, like Kike Hernandez, he wears
my new favorite player, by the way.
yeah. Kike's awesome, man. He's just awesome.
He is, dude.
He's hilarious.
So that video I sent you, man, I'm telling you, this dude he is a character.
Yeah.
Just
you sent it to me. I thought I sent it to you.
Did you send it? Maybe you sent it to me and I watched it and told you he was my new favorite guy.
Okay, that might have been it. Yeah. My favorite one was when he was standing on when he had that tall lady that was interviewing him standing on top of the boat.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I love it.
But if Kike Hernandez can wear green highlighter green cleats, and people can wear, all these different types of sleeves and different colored things like that, I think the bat really isn't that big a deal.
And my point is let these players show their personalities. It's what makes the game fun, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the idea of letting guys showcase some of the cool ideas and, kind of display their individual uniqueness of every single player and the personalities. And it just makes baseball that much more fun. Obviously baseball's not doing bad, but they're changing the rules to try to get more people in and more people watching. And I think, making one more little tweak like this could definitely help continue to bring more fans to the MLB.
Absolutely. I agree. Do you know which professional sports sells more tickets?
My guess would be the NFL.
Nope. Major League Baseball
sells the most tickets.
Yep. There's over 4,000 games in a Major League Baseball season. So
that's why
162 games per team.
I guess that's true.
They sell more tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, even if it's 10,000 at a time versus 40,000 at a time,
they're actually in arena revenue is higher in Major League Baseball than anywhere else as well.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff. But you got anything else on Major League Baseball?
That's what I got, man.
All right. Well, once again, folks, thank you for watching this episode of the DNA Sports Recap. As a reminder, we are doing that giveaway. Once this channel is monetized, we are going to be giving the first $500 that we earned in AdSense revenue back to subscribers. 5 subscribers are each going to earn $100 as our thank you thank you for supporting the channel and watching our videos. So much appreciated.
Yep. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Keep commenting. We love interacting with you guys. It's been super fun. You guys are getting more and more, and we've definitely really enjoyed it.
And again, on another personal note, you guys have been nothing but positive content. I'd probably just ruin it now. We're probably going to have a bunch of people calling us yahoos again. But,
guaranteed.
But a lot of positive comments. A lot of people saying how much they love the channel and they like our content, and they look forward to seeing more. So I really appreciate that. Once again, folks, this is available as a podcast. So if you are watching the end card to the link to the actual full episode will be on that side. And it's also available as audio only wherever you find your podcasts.
Yep. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like it, make sure you share it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, we're giving that money away and we'd love to give it to you.
Once again, folks, my name is Darren. That is AJ. And this has been the DNA Sports Recap.
Till next time.